All right, well, here we go again. This time we're going to do a still life. Now the bucket and the walnut, they were basically still lifes, but we're going to do something with them that has a little more to it. Um, I'm thinking about doing maybe a wine bottle and a wine glass and maybe some grapes or a piece of cheese. I don't know. Maybe we'll do the grapes. But anyway, let's start with the wine bottle and see how that works out. Okay, what I'm going to do first, though, we're going to have the wine bottle and the glass sitting on a table. So we're gonna bring a line across here, and this is gonna represent our table. We'll get that line squared away later. So right now, we're going to bring our bottle in here. We're gonna start with a big oval. And then we're going to put, this bottle's going to have like that, some wine bottles have this straw on the bottom. It's kind of like straw. It's a covering for the bottle. I guess it just makes it look a little fancier, I guess. So it's going to come about there and down and around. Pretty much like that. And then the bottle will come up like that. And you know those bottles, they always have the a top to them that's similar to something like this, right? Now sometimes you'll see a wine bottle that has twine. I guess it's kind of like twine, and it's tied around it. So this bottle that I had seen, that I have used in another piece of art, did have that, and it kind of just came down alongside the bottle there like that. And then we have our wine glass, which was right, we'll put it right here. Now, I'm going to do that horizontal line. I'm going to put that mark out there. I'm going to make it a little wider. Wine glasses are a little wider. Okay, I'm going to do it maybe about like that. And I'm going to bring it down to meet that. Bring this down to meet that. We'll put a little thing here where the stem attaches to. And yeah, we'll just bring something out this way. Something like that. Okay, so now in here, I would like to put some grapes or something. So let's you know, for the time being, I'm going to lighten this up. I'm going to just take it out a little bit just so I could see where I'm going to put my grapes. So I'm going to do some grapes in here. We'll just put a few in there. I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know, a tremendous amount. But we want enough to, so it kind of looks right. Put ones that are off to the side here a little bit. Okay, now we're going to have a stem coming up over here for our grapes. We'll have another stem here, and possibly another stem there. For now, I think that's what we're going to do. Sometimes things do change as I'm going along, and I look at it and I say, you know what, I'm going to make this, that, I'm going to change that to this, something like that. So how about over here, we put, the bottle did have a cork. So let's put the cork here on the table. And I could put another grape over here. Kind of fell off of the vine there and rolled over here. So we'll just put it right there like that. Now, I'm going to take the this line, this table line, I'm going to take it away right now from the glass so that it doesn't interfere with what we're going to do. Okay, so let's see. I believe that in the picture I had seen, the light was hitting right about here. So right through here, there was a pretty bright reflection on the glass of the wine bottle. And I'm going to move this over to here so that it doesn't interfere too much with the twine or the straw, whatever it is that they use on these things, so it doesn't interfere with what we're going to put into here. So that's going to come up there like that. This is still straw here, and it kind of has twine around the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're just going to lay in roughly some marks here that are going to represent that. And you notice how they change. See, they're going in this direction, and as they get in front of you, they straighten out. But as they get to the side, they start turning again. Okay. So now we'll fix this side of the bottle here to make it more like the other side, make it symmetrical. Now, from here, they come out this way and down that way. Okay. So what I'd also like to do is to have what would be the front of the table, like the edge that drops down. So we're going to bring that out there like that. And that'll probably be dark. It's going to indicate it for now. I know you can't see it right now in my drawing, but we'll see it later. Okay, so now we're going to start on the bottle. So let's take my HB, and I'm going to move this down so that we can see what's happening there. So this reflection is going to reflect up in here and up in there. So we're just going to very lightly put some pencil in here, leaving the reflection the white of the paper. So little by little, I'm just putting in a very, very light gray in there. Now, as always, you know that I have to blend it with my blender, so to make it look right for me. So I'm gonna just blend it. I'm gonna very softly. I'm gonna do it. I'm not really blending much right here, and then we'll take out that reflection that was in there with the kneaded eraser. We'll go back in, make sure that we preserve that. Okay. So there's the neck of our bottle. The beginnings of the neck of our bottle. Okay, so what about, you know what was, I remember in the back of the bottle, you see there was wine, and you could see the top of the wine. Through the bottle. And then there was a label on the other side. We'll see if the label works out. If not, well, we could always eliminate the label. That's no big deal. So in between this twine that's wrapped around here, I'm going to lay in, just with my blender, a little bit of gray. This is on the glass. We're going to bring that all the way across. We're going to leave that, we'll leave that label out there for a while. I think we should put, sometimes light bounces a little bit. We should put a little bit of light in there too. A little splash of light. Okay. So now if the light is actually here, that means that we are going to have some shadows here. So with my blender, I'm going to bring down some of these straw pieces. Now, because it curves, the straw is always, if you could picture one of these bottles in your mind, this is thicker than the bottle, and it kind of comes out and down. So there's a point here, right along here, that would be catching the light. And the shadowed part would start below that, right below it. It would get brighter here, and then we're going to get much darker on this side, because this will really be our shadowed side. So we're going to bring some more shadow down in there. Now, for our grapes, we also have obviously a highlight on the grapes. I should actually do this first. Let's get a little shadowing in here. This is the base of the bottle. So let's put shadows in here where they need to be, so that we could see what we're doing here. Now, I'm going to go in with let's go in with a 2B. We'll do this kind of gently. We're not going to go into, the 4B, 6B right away. But right up here, we're going to add a little darkness there. That's going to come across to the other side. And that side is dark. And we'll probably add, I'll go in there with a 6B, deepen that a little bit. Now, I want to have a little bit of that light still showing in the glass. So I'll come back with the 2B. Catching this edge. Here's some light right here. And this edge here is, again, the darker side. Okay. So now, coming down here, coming down to the twine that's wrapped around the neck of the bottle, we can put a fairly good shadow in there, leaving our highlight, our main highlight here. And once again, coming down here, where our bottle is actually the darkest. And we can get away with putting some dark in there. Okay. Now, that was the 2B. I'm going to take my 4B. Well, I happen to grab the 6B. So you know what? We're going to go in with the 6B. We'll really be daring here. Go in really dark. Okay. Yeah. That's nice and dark, huh? Okay, so now here's our highlight. And I'm going to go in with my kneaded eraser just to clean it up a little bit so I could see right where it needs to be. We'll put a little bit more there. All right, so alongside the highlight, I'm going to darken it even more. And we'll come back on this side, which is the darker side, and hit that even harder and slowly move it out to the highlight there. Okay. Blend a little bit. Smooth this out. Okay. Now what I want to do is clean up the highlight a little bit again, and I do want to put a little more of a highlight right there. Well, that may stay, and we might adjust that, but right for now, that's fine right where it is. Okay, so now we've got the side of our bottle here, and there's our wine inside. As you can see, there's the wine. Now the top of the wine is going to be a little lighter than the wine itself. So, but first of all, we're going to come in and alongside, this is our big highlight coming up the bottle. So we're going to, again, preserve that. Come along here like this. We're gonna actually gray this out a little bit where that label would be, because I'm going to come in with a probably a 2B and a 4B. Let's see if I can find my 4B here. Here it is. I'm going to come in with the 4B. We'll start with that, and we'll add a little depth right here. Now, this is where that twine is that goes around the bottle. And it's really it really is like a piece of twine. That's really all it is. It's not really rope or anything. It's very thin. And it comes out. Kind of just hangs there. So this, with the light coming where it is, this will get hit with a little bit of light there. We're going to bring this other piece down. Make sure that we keep that in there. There we go. So now we'll highlight that, put a little shadow under there, and we can come deeper next to our big highlight right here. And it could be kind of jagged because on the glass bottle, sometimes they're not like, perfectly smooth. So that highlight is got a little jaggedness to it. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm still using the 6, but you see how light I'm going right now? I don't feel the need to go too deep at the moment. We're going to, you know how things progress and things change as you're doing a piece. You've seen it before when we were doing the other pieces. Yeah, you go back and forth and you say, oh, I'm gonna deepen this, I'm gonna lighten that. And it all changes a little bit. So let's take our blender again. Let's blend this and smooth this out. That's right around where we can see the wine. And we're going to put the label, because it's on the other side of the bottle, we're going to push it to the back by adding a little more shadow to it, or grayness. Okay, so now we've got the surface of the wine here. So I'm going to add a little gray to that so that it's not, we don't want it white. So now I'm going to take my 4B and I'm going to emphasize a little bit more where the wine actually is in the bottle. And we'll bring the 4B all the way across. A little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. Okay. All right, that's starting to look right. All right, so let's just blend that a little more. I'm seeing a lot of streaks in there. I'm gonna get some of those out of there. I'll just blend this a little bit more here. And what we're going to do is alongside the highlight, the bright highlight, we're going to just make it a little darker. And we're going to bring this surface of the wine out a little bit more. Just like that. Okay, now with our kneaded eraser, what we can do is we can go back in to that highlight. We can actually put a little additional highlight coming down in here. There we go. We'll put another little bit up into here. Give it a little more of that shine on the bottle. Okay. So now, looking at our wine that's actually in the bottle, which is this section here. Now, I'm going to assume that it's a red wine. That's how I remember it. Okay, so we are going to take the 6B. And we're going to go in here now. And once again, my 6B has gotten kind of used up. So put a little bit of more of a point on there. All right. This is one of those things when you just see something and you want to just change it a little bit. So, because it's glass, you see, we'll pick up some of the darker shadows or reflections from other things and come across the surface here of the glass. So what we're going to do now is we are going to do the wine. This is, I believe, another piece of twine there that we can keep in there. Okay, so there's a reflection here. And we're going to let the light hit a little bit in there. And then there's the other reflection here. Then another one here. And this is all with the 6 now, 6B. And I'm going to lighten up just a little bit as we get to this reflection, and then deepen it on the other side of that reflection. And maybe just let a little light come through there. Okay, so now, once again, with our blender, very gently into here, pretty much heavy darkness in there, and a good rubbing here, and then just letting it get a little lighter as it comes in there, a little darker as it comes in there, a little darker on the edge. So there, we've now got our wine showing through, and I'm going to do one other thing. Is this the 6? Yeah, it's my 6B. I want to take a little bit. There we go. That's a little better. Now, let's make sure we keep our highlight here. I'm going to bring another one down into here. Not a real white one, but just a one that's just basically rubbing out a little of the 6B next to the big highlight. There. Let's make sure we have that one in there. And this one. Okay. Now, how about this twine, whatever it is? I guess it's more like a straw. I keep calling it straw, and then I go to twine. I should call it one thing, right? Okay. Oh, you know what? Right under here, I think these pieces of, these are twine. What I think they are anyway, are probably casting a shadow onto the straw of the bottle. And we'll go in, we'll just clean this piece up a little bit here. Okay. So these are really just, you're going to see some lines coming down, and where the straw pieces are, which is really all this is. Bring it right down to the grapes here, and then we'll add some more shadowing in there. It's not all even pieces either. So we'll just work it a little bit and get some more of that straw bottom of that bottle. I don't know if it's a particular brand of wine that uses this. I mean, I've seen it on bottles before. I'm sure you have too. But I don't know if it's a particular brand only that uses this sort of thing. I'm not really a wine expert, that's for sure. Okay, we're going to put a little shadow in here behind those grapes. And it falls on this area here, which now comes down this way. See how that it changes direction? Okay. Another grape there? I think so. So we'll have to do a little erasing here because I forgot about my grape there. But good old trusty kneaded eraser goes in there, does the job. It's a hard-working little tool. It really is. All right. So now, I said on this side I was going to go a little darker. So you know what? Let's do that right now. Let's go a little darker down here. And keep that edge kind of light because the light is hitting it there, at least in this section where the reflections are. So we can go a little bit of shadow there, probably a little bit of shadow there. But here and here, it's going to be a little bit of a deeper shadow. So let's take a look here. We're going to add the shadow into here. And then the bottom where it actually flattens out again is going to have that shadow. Okay, so here's our bright spot. Here's our shadow spot. Okay, so bright and shadow. We're going to go in and shadow a little bit more because it needs it. So I'm going to take my 6B and I'm going to come gently now, very gently actually, because I don't want it to go too dark. I don't want it to go black on us. I just want it to go shadowed. So little by little, I'm just going to come across a little bit here. We'll emphasize the lines a little once we get the shadow in. We can go back in with the 6B and put the lines in where the straw is. Okay, so here's a light spot. Here's our darker area. Continue that across. Very, very light pressure right now, because as you know, the 6B, you start putting some heavy pressure on the 6B, you're going to get pretty dark pretty fast. And I don't want to get too dark too fast. Not really. So I'm going to blend that a little bit now. Just going to smooth it out. Not really trying to make it darker, just trying to make it smoother. And I might go in with the kneaded eraser right in here and just lighten that up a little bit so that this whole section remains where there's a lot of light coming up through there. So, you know what? I'm going to do that right now. So, actually, because we have some highlights here, I'm going to also bring some down this way on this thing. Keep this rather light here. Okay, that'll work. That'll work. All right, let's talk about our grapes. All right. So, don't count your grapes. It doesn't matter how many are there. It really doesn't. So what we're going to do, though, is I'm going to try to get them in there right now. See what we can do. Now, with the light coming basically this way from here, I think we're gonna have a highlight on these grapes right about there. And every grape will, because they're basically shiny, will have a bit of highlight to it. So I'm just going to put in, see, some are behind the other. We can make the highlight not totally circular if we don't want it. This one will be in shadow. This one will catch some light. Some of the grapes that are out further obviously going to catch the light. If it's more inside like this one, you're really not going to catch much of a highlight on a grape there. Okay, so there's those. We've got this little runaway grape here. So give him a highlight too. I'll put another one behind him. Okay. So now coming up from the grapes, we did have this vine. It's part of the grapevine. So, and the grapevine is kind of, it's not a smooth branch type thing. It's very, bumpy and lumpy and that kind of thing. And it's kind of dark. I think they get darker, once they're picked. And we'll put this part in shadow. Let a little bit of light hit there. Now underneath here, obviously, there's a shadow from the vine itself coming underneath it. And going off the bottle there. Okay. Now, let's take this. This is pretty much in shadow there because of the grapes. Let's smooth this shadow out a little bit here. Make it look a little more like it's sitting on the bottle. We'll have these lines going to go through it. So let's take some of those now. And put it right through that shadow. So you bring it down this way. Give it that straw kind of look. Well, these are just kind of random lines. I mean, they're not evenly spaced, because I know that on those bottles they're really not evenly spaced. So I don't know, where they get this straw from. That maybe it's just, well, I don't even want to speculate what it's from, because I just don't know. Some of you may know. But this is what we're doing to give it that look. Okay, so now what I would like to do is to actually lighten the vine a little bit. Take a little bit of graphite out certain areas, like right along here, because I think I would say I'd be getting hit with light right around this area here. So we're going to take a little bit of that out of there. And I'm going to go in and take my my 4B. reestablish the edge of the vine. Let it come down. Let that shadow fall into that straw area. Put that in shadow. Put a little shadow in here. And just work that a little bit. Okay. All right. Now, our grapes. So, we're going to start by just making them gray. So that'll represent the base color, if you want to call it that. This one here that I'm doing right now, that's going to be a dark one because it's in shadow. This will be dark because it's like a space between the grapes. We'll make that one dark too. I just want to get most of the grapes with some kind of gray value to them. Okay, so now I've got a 4B in my hand, so we're going to start by deepening the shadow here. And I'm going to go, sometimes a circular motion kind of works really well. This is the one that's going to be dark because it's really behind the other grapes. And then this will be the space between the grapes. This one's going to cast a shadow on this guy. So that's going to be a little darker there. This one's casting a shadow on that one. So that's going to be darker there. And this one's not really, it could be casting a little shadow on that one. This one is in shadow, mainly in shadow. This one has got some light areas up in there. We're going to go with the bottom though. We're going to put some shadow down there. And this one will be shadowed here. And this one over here. Okay. Well, these guys get more shadowed on the right side. And this one will catch a shadow from that one. Okay. And did I have a grape there? It looks like I had one there. All right, you know what? I'll put one back there. Can't do any harm putting another grape in, right? The more grapes, the merrier. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this kneaded eraser and I'm going to bring it to a bit of a point here because I want to rub out some of the highlighted area. I don't want it to all look, the same, like it's this oval. I just did that just to indicate where the the highlights were going to go, because you want to keep track of where they're going. And you rub it, you get, you smooth it out, really, is what's going on. You don't have a harsh highlight, you have a softer highlight. So now we can go in with our blender and blend some of this even more in here and there. And these grapes are going to be picking up throwing, casting a shadow onto here, which we didn't really do yet, not totally. This one was, but we've got to do the others. And they're also going to have a shadow on the table that they're casting. Smooth these out too. Okay, so let's talk about a shadow for the grapes. Now, I'm going to use my HB. There's my HB. Okay, so if the light is coming from here, these grapes, this one's going to cast a shadow there. These grapes should be casting a shadow around here like this. That one may be casting a shadow that way. This one, around like that. These will be something like that. Put a little bit of a twig off of that. Okay, so I think it's time to go back with the 6B. And again, I'm going to sharpen it because I want to get in there with those shadows and keep those nice and dark. So make sure you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm not just working the shadow that's on the table. I'm going to work the shadow that these grapes are casting on each other also. Do it all at basically the same time. And it's the usual, you know, you going in a little heavy with where I want the shadow darkest, and then easing up on it. So this one is going to be dark right where it touches the table. Then it'll probably get a little lighter as it moves out, a little bit lighter. This is going to be fairly dark in here. This is going dark here. And here, remember the grounding line? Okay, there it is. Now I'm going to blend the shadows out a little bit more too. Get a little more shadow onto these grapes so that they do appear to be shadowing each other, which they would be. In real life, they would be. Okay, so we're going to blend that shadow a little bit more to smooth it out over here. There's a little bit of twine here that comes around this bottom section. So we're just going to emphasize that a little bit more. That's casting a shadow too. So there's a lot of things casting shadows here. That actually is going to cast a shadow too. So, okay. All right, so now let's take our blender. Let's see what we could do with this shadow here for the grapes. Smooth out that edge a little bit, or make it a little more hazy, let's say. Because you have to remember, when you're doing shadows, a shadow is darkest next to the object that's casting it. I think I might have mentioned that in another video, but if I didn't, you're hearing it now. So the closer it is to the object that's casting it, the darker it is. But as it moves away from the object that's casting it, it gets lighter. And you can observe that on a nice sunny day. Look at the shadow of say a tree trunk or a telephone pole or something like that, and notice that it is darker more next to the pole or the trunk. It's darker there than it is, as it moves away. So there we have our grapes. And you see how I go back now and I look at this and I say, you know what? I want to make this a little darker here. And I hit that under there. Really bring a shadow out. Let that look like it's over the bottle. Okay, now how are we looking here? Let's go. Which one do I have? That's my HB. That's a little too light. I want to go in with my 6B again. I want to come back down here and take a look at the wine that's in this bottle. And I want to go back into the surface of the wine and just add a little bit more depth to the shadow. And where we could see the edge of the wine, I want to go back in and just hit that a little bit more, a little darker in there. Especially right here, where it's against the that top section of straw. Okay, yeah, that's coming along now. I think that's working. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with my 4B. Just want to add a little bit more darkness to these pieces of the straw here, that especially that are in the shadow. We definitely want to do it there. Bring some down in here. So you can see how it starts to take shape. Add a little bit more here. Get right up to the grapes. Okay. Now the grapes, if you remember when we were doing the walnut, we talked about reflected light. So I'm going to go in and just try to pull a little bit out from the bottom of the grape where the light would be hitting, bouncing off the table and hitting the grapes, I should say, creating this little bit of a reflected light here. It's not going to be a lot. It's just a little bit. Okay, I think that's enough. All right. So let's hit this shadow here again. Make it less obvious that it's ending. Spread it out a little bit. There we go. All right. There. Now I think we're really starting to take shape now. Okay. Well, I did hit this with I think it was the 4. It might have been the 6. I'm going to hit it again with the blender. Bring a little bit of depth in here. Okay. Now we can still see that label through the glass, which is good. That's what we want. Okay. Okay, put a little shadow there for that twine. That's making that shadow. Put a little bit of shadow here. This grape is kind of would probably be casting a shadow onto that. Okay, all right. So there's our wine bottle. Now, we do have a wine glass too. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our HB again. And there it is there. Now, inside the glass, we don't have to actually show that there's wine in there. We could kind of just do it in shadow. But now, again, with the glass, remember, it's an open top. So what are we going to do? If the light's coming this way, this is where it's going to hit. This is going to be a little darker. So I'm going to go in with my blender, and I'm going to start right there, giving that top a little more depth. And I'm going to come down this side of the glass. And I'm going to leave a mark there. Leave a mark there. Because the glass I'm kind of looking at is, it's not, maybe like a little bit of a crystal kind of look to it. So it has these lines in it, although it's not in bright light. You still see these cuts in the crystal. Do that section there, this section here. Okay. All right, that's the start. Okay. Oh, we got another grape here. Aha! I forgot all about that guy. He thought you were getting away, huh? You're not getting away. No way. Okay. So, let's take care of him right now. And we'll finish him up. We'll finish him up later. Now, what about this cork? So this cork's going to get hit with light there. I think it'll be a little shadowed here, and certainly shadowed here. So we'll just do that for now. So I want to go back to my wine glass, and we're going to deepen in here where the light is not hitting. So we're just going to add a little bit more depth to that shadow. Bring that around. Now, because it's glass, it'll be reflecting things, so that's what these little lines are, the reflection of the glass itself, the thing that glass does. The glass is shiny and it reflects light and it catches shadow and, you know, does all those things. It'll be doing that inside too. Okay, so now we're going to take a little bit, as we did here. There's a shadow there, so we're going to come down. And we're going to come down here, and this side and down here is going to get shadowed more, because I think we're going to say, okay, there's some wine in the glass, so it's making the bottom of the glass a little darker. We're going to come in between here, put some highlights in there, put some more here, here, and here, and here we'll put more shadow. Okay. And then we're going to go in with the blender and play around in there a little bit. So we'll add a little more fanciness maybe to this glass. We'll put a little thing here like that. Bring it down here, put a little stem on it. See, we're just building it. Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. Time for the blender. Let's take care of the inside here a little bit more. Okay, now let's take care of this edge here. I'm going to blend all this. Now this, because the bottle's getting hit here, this is going to get hit here too, because it's right next to the bottle. So the light's hitting it there about roughly just about the same. Okay, so now all right, let's take our kneaded eraser and put some lines in there that might represent where it's kind of a cut glass, we'll say. And then we'll emphasize them more by going in with the darker value, which will probably be our 6B. I think the 6B will do very well here. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to deepen this here. I'm going to put a lip on the glass. A nice wine glass should have a lip, don't you think? I'll bring this down a little bit here. Now we could represent some wine in here if we wanted to by doing this. And make it look like there's something in there. Bring it dark all the way down to the bottom. And along here. And up in here. And maybe in between here we'll go a little deeper. Okay. Deeper here. Let's get this stem a little more depth to it. Have this piece here. That's kind of cut too. And then we'll just bring a little bit more of a shadow along, just a design that's a little bit in the base of the glass, and we'll put its grounding line down there. Okay, so let's go blend this a little bit more. Now what I'm going to do, I think I want to bring this up a little bit here, like that. Okay, so let's blend this a little bit more. Let's blend this. And this is the wine that's in there. This is the darker part, just like in the bottle. And we're going to darken this just a little bit more on that side. Now we still got that grape there, so we got to finish up that guy, which I think we're going to do right now. So let's just put him here and go in with a little more shadow like we did on the others. And we'll leave that reflected light on the bottom. We'll just give him a little more grayness. And we'll touch that highlight with the kneaded eraser. There we go. I like that better. Blend it a little around the edge. Now, how about his shadow? Okay, well, he's got a shadow too. Okay. Now, what I would like to do is to add a little more, a very light gray maybe to the table here, so that we can just distinguish that it's there. So I'm just gonna go in with my blender, and I'm gonna put a very light grayish area, something that's not gonna hopefully take away from what we've already done here. But just to add a little bit of grayness to the table. I know we have to do that cork yet. We haven't done that. So that'll be next. What is this here? Okay, there's a little mark in there. I don't know where that came from, but let's see if we can get that out of there. Okay, yeah, that's gone. All right, a little bit more. Just a little bit more. In here. Gotta put a little something in there, just so it's not so stark white. I see that my blender's running out of graphite. That means I got to get more graphite on it. Yeah, that's it. Just to almost rough it up a little bit. Well, let's do this. Let's do this. This cork right here. Okay, what have I got? I've got a 6. I'm gonna go with my 4. Let's see, HB. Let's see. There's my 4. Okay, so we're gonna do the cork. Let's hit the edge of the cork there. And it has, we'll do something, sometimes corks are printed with, the name of the company that, say, produced the wine. And I would have no idea who produced this wine, so I'm not going to really worry about it. So I'm going to put a little shadow here. And then let the cork throw a little shadow that way, just like everything else did. Okay, so now sometimes a cork has these, spots in it, so that's just the way cork is, I guess. Comes from a cork tree, I believe. I may be wrong, but I don't know. I think I heard that somewhere. All right, let's blend that out a little bit more. Fade it away. Okay. Let's take the 4B, which is right here somewhere. I want to put a little deeper shadow onto that. I want this to be a little deeper under the cork, so that the cork stands out more. And if there's something printed on it, it's probably going to be a little darker on this end, because this end is on in shadow. So we'll put a little more, very gently put a little more shadow in there. Put a little more of those spots in that are typical of a cork. There. And I think we could probably blend this just a little bit, just spread it out a little bit. Nice and easy. There we go. Okay, so I think I would like this grape to be a little bit darker. especially here. Okay, that's better. Shows up more. Okay. So we've got our table, which is out here. We want to keep that line fairly straight. Yeah, there's no harm in using a ruler either if you're doing something like that. If you're making a table edge or top, and you want your line to be fairly straight, and there's no law that says you can't use a ruler. I'm doing it freehand right now, but like I say, there's nothing that says you can't use a ruler. I would never say you can't use a ruler. I'd say, you want to use a ruler? Sure. Go right ahead. So this is an old wooden table, so we're going to not worry too much about this edge here being terribly straight. We want it to look a little rough, kind of. So now what I'd like to do is I actually want to take a little bit more highlight out of my stem here in the glass, and maybe here, and right around in here. You just sometimes taking a little bit of light out just adds to the reflective quality of what it is that you're drawing. So now I'm going to take my 4B, and I want to do something in the background. So what are we going to do in the background to be very subtle, but just something? You know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to do this too on the table. I'll just put some lines in, just so we see the edge of that table. Give it a kind of a wood look. So just gently, very lightly, putting in a few lines with the 4B. It would be okay if you put it in with the 2B also. I don't think it would matter one way or the other, to be honest with you, because I'm really not putting pressure on the 4B right now. I'm just letting it do its own thing. I'll just put a little bit on this edge here. Just to add a little more texture in the piece. Now, I'm going to take, again, my 6B, which is probably going to need to be sharpened again, because we're really using a lot of 6B here. So let me do that. Now I'm going to take this edge of this table, and I'm going to start darkening a bit along this edge. Just again to add a little more interest to the overall look of the piece. And I'm going to be blending it, so I'm not going to go real solid here. Not looking to get, true black. You just want to get some value in here, especially in here, where the objects are. So I'm just going to add some more of the 6B. I'll blend that. We'll see how that looks. See if I like it. Sometimes I do something, and once it's done, I say, I don't really like that. I shouldn't have done that. But sometimes you already did it, so that could mean starting over again. But that's okay. Remember what I had said, I think was in the last video, that it might have been this one, I don't know, that if you make a mistake, look at it as a learning process. Don't look at it as a mistake. You're going to learn from it. Okay, so now, and this is going to get some graphite back on my blender, so that's good. I'm just going to blend this in to smooth this out. All the way over to the end, which you may not even be seeing in the picture right now, but that's okay. All right. That's kind of a blended edge right there. Now, what I'd like to do, what I'd also like to do, is up on the side of this table, I'd like to put something here. Something that is going to take away that line a little bit so it's not so noticeable. A little shadowing along the table edge, the wall behind it. So this could be, a lot of work to do, but is it worth it? Yeah, I think it is. I think it affects the overall look that you're going after. To put like a stone effect in the back there. It doesn't have to be dark. In fact, we don't really want it to be dark. It's just something to take up that white space. Sometimes the white space just gets in the way. So we do a little something there to change it, to not let your eye just see white. To let your eye see something else, something different. Now, I could go back down here, being I got a lot of graphite down here. I could put that on my blending stump, get that dark again, darker, where it would actually work as almost like a pencil. So the background is more of it's almost like an abstract kind of thing. It's not, you're not really drawing something, you're just disguising something. You're disguising the whiteness of the background. I'm just going to put a little bit more here and there, just so that it's not quite as bright a white. But yet it's subtle enough where it's not really going to take your eye away from the subject, which is the wine bottle, the wine glass, the grapes. It's not going to really take your eye away from that. It's just adding a little something in the back. Now what I'd like to do, I'd actually like to, I'd like to add a little more here on this side too, along the table edge. And here, what I might do is just do not worry too much about that rock-like effect or whatever it is we're trying to get there. Maybe I'll just take a little bit of a number 6B, and come in along this edge, just over here. Can you see it? Yeah, see? See what I'm doing here? I'm just coming along the edge of the table. I'm putting a little bit of the 6B in there, and I'm going to blend that up into here. And that'll take away some of the whiteness on this side. And we just blend and blend and blend and get it to smooth out a bit. Might look like something after a while. Camouflage it, kind of. There we go. See? Now it's not so white over there. You got a little something going on, which we didn't have before. You can work it, you know, you can keep going for a while on something like this. Gonna blend it a little bit more, get it a little smoother there. Probably use my finger too, just like last time. I really like that. See? That kind of blends it away. Sometimes the finger's even better than the blender. Believe it or not. So there, we've got our table. Now I just noticed that I had a couple of the vines from the grapes coming out. So we'll bring those up here. See? And there. There we go. Just a little bit more here. Give it a little bit of a wood grain, which is kind of interesting. It's just an old table, an old wooden table. There's somebody enjoying a glass of wine at. You know, I could remember when I was a kid, we used to go over to my grandfather's house, and he was a little old winemaker. He used to make his own wine. And he'd sit at the table and have a glass or two, and he was used to it. You know, it's what he did most of his life, really. Yeah. Growing up in Italy, that's where he was born, raised. And then he came here in the early 1900s and continued his, his ways. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so here's our wine bottle. Here's our table. I can blend a little bit more here so you can get a little more depth out of the table here. There we go. How's that? That's better. Get a little wood grain there, like I said. there we have it, pretty much. I mean, you could work the background a little more if you'd like. Definitely not absolutely necessary. I'm just putting a little, almost like a little stone brick kind of wall behind there, just to add a little something, so you see something instead of that stark white that was there before. Blend it up a little bit more, blend this a little bit more on this end. Maybe let the edge of the table go into the shadow, so it's not so noticeable. You can do a lot of different things when you're drawing. Just, use your creativity, use your imagination, use your reference photos. These are all going to be important things to you. So, there we have our wine bottle with some grapes. And this one came out kind of big, so it's hard to get it all in the screen here, but basically that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's your still life. Now, next time, I think what we're going to do is we'll talk about some either textures or perspective, and we'll talk about those things and see how that is going to affect a drawing that you do. So hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you next time. Take care now.